Hello and welcome to the Beckoning Bookshelf. I'm your host, Jeffrey Ashcraft. I'll be honest, this episode should have come out on Tuesday, but I thought of it too late, so that's my bad. On President's Day, I had the idea that, hey, I could do an episode on a book about a U.S. president. Wouldn't that be cool? Well, like I said, I thought of it way too late and didn't have enough time to properly prep the episode, even though I had a book in mind that I read a few years back. So Tuesday's episode went up as planned, and this is now on Thursday. So at least it's in the same week. Now, what book am I talking about? Well, you know what book it's right here. You know what book I'm talking about. I'm talking about Killing Lincoln by Bill O'Reilly and Martin Dugard. Bill O'Reilly of the O'Reilly Factor on Fox News, where the spin stops, as he's famous for saying, and Martin Dugard, who is a New York Times best-selling author and has written several history books. This book was published in 2011 and is the first in the duo's Killing series, which is now 12 books as of this recording. So it's called the Killing series because each book's title starts with killing. So it's kind of morbid, but there you go. Now, the duo also has since written one other book. This is like the latest book they've written that is not part of the Killing series. And it's all about U.S. presidents and their lives and accomplishments, or lack thereof, from George Washington all the way to Joe Biden. So that sounds like a fascinating book to eventually read. But yeah, did not have time to read that now, so I'm going with one I have read. And I really do like learning about Lincoln. That's one of the reasons why I got this book is Abraham Lincoln is a great man. Is a great man. He is a great man. And he's one of the great American heroes. So I love learning about him, even if it's learning about his tragic death. So what is this book about? Well, it's clearly about the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. And it covers a time frame of about 5 months, from March to July of 1865. So essentially, 6 months, it starts 6 weeks before Abraham Lincoln's death and ends with the execution of Booth's co-conspirators by the U.S. government in July of 1865. So that's the span of this book. And it follows, of course, Lincoln and John Wilkes Booth during this time frame. Of course, it also covers the end of the Civil War, so it has prominent historical figures there. But that's essentially what this book is about. Now, when it comes to talking about the book, there's two primary things to talk about. First, is it well written? Is it engaging? Is it interesting? I mean, with a lot of history books are just really bland and boring and just an absolute chore to get through. It's kind of like eating unseasoned food. You know, you're getting your nutrients, but it's not a fun time. You're not enjoying it. So, yeah. Is this book like that, or is it actually engaging? Well, it's definitely engaging, and it is definitely well written. It is approached as a thriller novel. Is it exactly like a thriller novel? No. I'd say it's a mixture between a historical book, a history book, and a thriller novel. So that makes it far more engaging than just your regular historical textbook. The second thing we need to ask is the book historically accurate? Like what we read about in here, is it actually true? Well, for the most part, yes. But some of it seems to be debatable. O'Reilly himself has come out and stated, after the book was published, that there were 4 minor misstatements in the book and some typeset errors, including a date, and that those have been corrected. I don't know what that means. I assume that they were corrected in later printings of the book, so I have no idea if my copy has the errors or the corrections. I have no idea. But there is that. So O'Reilly did state that there were a few misstatements in the book, but some historians have disputed some of the veracity of some of the things in this book and have just outright stated that some of the things are false or incorrect, some of the details. Are any of these details really, really significant? No, not really. So it seems that the majority of the book is accurate. Now, the fact that the book has no sourcing, by the way, does not help its veracity. So I will say that. There is one other area of dispute concerning its historical accuracy, and that's the fact that the book has some dialogue between some historical figures and some inner thoughts for these historical figures. And there is no way that O'Reilly and Dugard had this information. They have no idea what Booth was thinking when he was walking down a road one day, or what Lincoln was thinking some just random day, or what people said to each other in these meetings, in particular meetings or encounters. They don't know. There's no way they know that. So I think that came from the thriller approach. Now, is the dialogue, are the dialogue and the inner thoughts inaccurate? No. I'd say they're probably accurate, that we have enough information on these people and who they were that the inner thoughts and dialogue are probably pretty accurate as to what actually the person would have said or would have thought. It just may not have happened at that exact time, in that exact way, with those exact words, all of that sort of thing. So that's another disputed fact concerning the historical authenticity and accuracies of this book. Now, like I said, the majority of the book is viewed as accurate, though. So, how should you approach this book? Should you approach it at all? Because, if anything is incorrect or false in a history book, can you really trust anything in a history book? Truly? Without verifying it for yourself? So should you read this book? Well, I think it's a good start to learning about history. So if you have trouble getting through history books, if they just seem very, very tedious and you just don't like reading them, this might be a good start. It might whet your appetite and you just go, oh, now I want to learn more about all of this. And then you go to an actual historical text where it provides a lot more information and the sources are there so you can actually go verify things yourself. So it is a good place to start. And it's an interesting read. It is well written. Further, I think this book does provide one other interesting thing to the reader, and that's the fact that it examines Lincoln's assassination and some of the reasons behind it. So it goes into some conspiracies and just some additional thought experiments as to why Lincoln was assassinated. And I find that rather fascinating. Are all these things verified and true? No. So they shouldn't be viewed that way. But they do provide interesting food for thought, because Abraham Lincoln was a great man. He truly was. And great men are often hated and feared by those who feel threatened by them, because Abraham Lincoln did a lot of good for the nation. And there are many people who loathed him for it, one of which was Booth. He loathed Lincoln, and he felt that a lot of what the nation was going through was all Lincoln's fault. That if Lincoln had never existed, that everything would be better. And so Booth viewed himself as basically the hero to defeat the great tyrant. That's how he viewed himself. And he wanted himself to be viewed as that hero. That's why he announced himself, at least I believe, that's why he announced what he did after he shot Lincoln. Instead of just running for it, he leapt onto the stage and was like, hey, I did it, essentially. There's disputes as to what exactly he said, but we at least know that he didn't just run away and hide immediately. He actually went on the stage and shouted something. So he was vain in that way, it seems. But so it does provide some interesting, like I said, food for thought concerning the assassination of Abraham Lincoln and just that tragic death. So that's all I have for you today. Have you read Killing Lincoln? Have you read any of the Killing series? And if you have, what do you think? Which book did you read? I think it's fascinating. This is the only one I've read. So I know others who have read more of the Killing series. So they like them. So maybe I'll pick up another one day. I still love just learning about Abraham Lincoln. He was just such a great American hero and just an awesome person. I also love the movie Lincoln. It's a great film. Though the first 3 minutes, I skip that. It's a little too intense for me. But thank you for being here. Thank you always for being here. You are amazing. Now go find yourself a good book.